Hi, Stratman from pipware.com, and here we go with the continuation of the strategy. We've just been talking about fractals and how we want to go in the direction of our fractals and hopefully moving averages at the same time. But now we're waiting on a pullback to enter a trade, and we're seeing that right now. We've got a pullback on the M1 and M5. The trend is definitely H1 through M15 is to go long. THV is saying short at the moment, but we know that there's a lot of pressure to go long here based on these three arrows. So we're seeing the real time situation. Now what we're after is we need to get the best possible entry into this so that we can get our stop as small as possible. The best entry is the pullback, which we're seeing kind of like trend is moving up. Now it's pulling back at this point here. Now some people may mistake this for this is a short opportunity, but based on what I've just been telling you, we've got moving averages showing here that this is a long opportunity. Sorry, I shouldn't say that because it may go short. Price has got a mind of its own in the end, but what we're after is the highest probability. Now the highest probability here at this moment is based on these two moving averages that this is a long opportunity, and the fractals are saying the same thing. It's a long opportunity. So now we're looking to these here will probably go back the other way soon, hopefully. But we're interested in what's going on with our other indicators, which are the oscillators. Now, the oscillators at this moment on M5, well, we'll start with M15. I watched the stochastics on M15 through to M1. Now, I'm also looking at the THV tricks from on M5 and M1. So, first thing I'm going to check is my stochastics. What's going on with stochastics? Well, at the moment stochastics is pointing downwards, and you would expect so because on the M15 we're making closes that are lower on the candles as it goes down, because that's what stochastics is about, is where are the closes on the candles. So that's going downwards. What's happening on the M5 though? Well, M5 stochastics is it's reached its bottom point and it's just starting to turn. So if we're looking at that just starting to turn and we're seeing we've got H1 through M15 going long, this is quite significant to us. So if this turns around and starts pointing back up the other way and the slope is good here coming out of that, that's probably a good point to enter. At the same time, we'd like to see the THV turning around. So the histogram on the THV, we can see that here, the darker colour here indicates that the distance between the two tricks are actually getting less. So at this point here, they're at their widest part. Now, once they start turning back the other way, we'll see the histogram light change. And so what we're seeing on the M1 is that the light has changed back to be trading back this way here. So from an M1 point of view, we're now starting to turn back round, but stochastics is still pointing downwards. So we've got a few things to monitor here. We're looking for a confluence of ideas. We want to see that our stochastics and our THV tricks are all kind of telling us the same story here, and they're not yet. So I'm not entering short based on this. I'm not entering long yet, even though I want to go long, because I don't see that this is the end of the pullback. So I'm looking to try and capture the end of the pullback. Now for me, the end of the pullback will be when the M5 starts turning back round on here and we get a M5 signal here on the tricks. Now I'm monitoring these at the same time because theoretically when all these change in green, that's optimum condition, but you've got to kind of be watching things very carefully here because I don't like to consider that just when all these change to a certain color we're into the trade. Quite clearly we might not see the coral change over, yet everything else might be in agreement. So we've got to kind of just get experience with this and use what we're seeing on our dashboard the best we can to enter this trade in the most or the highest probability way. So for me right now, just for this specific trade, I'm not saying this will happen for every single trade, I'm looking for this trix to start turning back the other way. I'm also looking for this stochastics to turn back up from this low point and slope upwards. Already got that happening on the M1, but potentially there could be another cycle here before it actually turns into a trade. So I possibly wouldn't enter just because the fast trix is going to cross the zero line this time, because the M5 is kind of still a little way off from actually turning round. So hopefully that gives you a bit of insight there. Even better if the M15 stochastics can be pointing back the other way as well, going upwards. So summary wise, what we're after, we want to make sure that news is not going to be a factor that's going to influence this trade and possibly put it all wrong. So you'd see a big square here come up telling you when news is within 15 minutes, and in fact I'm monitoring the news here on this particular chart. I'm getting a heads up when a trading opportunity occurs based on the fractals all lining up, and in fact this will give me an alert. And then once I get that, I'm waiting for a pullback. Once I see a pullback, I'm then looking at my oscillators to determine when that pullback is ending. Because when that pullback ends, that's when the optimum trading occurs, and that gives us the smallest stop. So essentially that's pretty much how I trade. So it's a very simple strategy. In essence, when you look at what I'm trying to show here, but it works. It makes money. It's just totally on getting in with the trend with the smallest possible stop. That's what it's about. And we can see that you know, it's turning over now down here, and you can see as these change here. So I might just pause for a second. We'll just see whether this eventuates actually into a trade. This is never ever a guaranteed trade, this kind of setup. We are just looking at the probability of it turning into a successful trade, and that's what it's all about. So we want to have the edge, we want to have the probability in our favor, and if we can get all of that via something like a dashboard here, giving us these indications, all the better. As I'm watching this trade develop, I can see the two histograms changed over, meaning that we're starting to look towards heading upwards. Now, important here is I'm seeing some hidden divergence, which means is we're making a lower low on our M5 tricks, but yet we're making a higher high on the M5 price action. And here's M1 just setting up, ready to go long, waiting for M5 still. Now this has ended up being a no trade, and glad I didn't try and enter. We've just had the M15 and M30 fractal broken. So you can see, you know, this was lining up for a go long, but in the end has proved to be a no trade. So our oscillators kept us out of this trade.